Hey guys, it's 18 January. Hope you saw my earlier video about the liftoff. 31 January. NASA's going to be jealous, and I hope everybody that I know is affected by the upgrade in additional personnel. So, I don't watch the news anymore deliberately for reasons that I've discussed, but I'm particularly interested in certain news items because I want to see how the flow is going. Since this is like a one-time thing, and the topic is the Abraham Accord, which Donald Trump initiated when he was president several years ago, and it resulted in some significant things that resonate to this day because it is self-perpetuating, even though he kind of left office and it was headless for a little while with um, Egypt stepping in to speak to the Palestinian side. But this is Israel, what I'm going to review with you, an Israeli news broadcast. And what I'm going to do is play the summary of it because I think that's really all that's needed. And perhaps I will pause during the summary to expand on respective areas. So let's try that and see how it goes. I'm going to get this thing going. Of significance, I'll tell you before I start playing this, as a former military person, everybody who's in the military should know, U.S. military, the United States is divided up into regions of the world, right? You have Central Command and Pacific Command and Southern Command. And on any day of the week, the United States could reorganize itself and decide they don't want to do that anymore. They're going to play along different boundaries. So what has occurred as a result of the Abraham Accord, the longtime military people that are like my age and before know that the big dividing line with European Command and Central Command was Israel. Israel was put in European Command. I suppose it's like a protective sort of a thing. But that was the dividing line. And then General Schwarzkopf and the big Central Command at MacDill Air Force Base had the rest of their area of responsibility, which I'll show you later on a map. But Israel was moved from EUCOM to CENTCOM on, what did he say? You're going to see the military guy that says it, or you may not. I may not play him. His name is Brad Cooper. He's the new senior Navy officer for CENTCOM. So CENTCOM is kind of floated to a Navy operation. I want you guys to be aware of that because when the commander of CENTCOM puts on his hat, it's normally a Marine or an Army guy because it's a ground mission. So there's been a strategic transfer in proponency for the CENTCOM area of responsibility because the talking head from Central Command to Israel explaining the policy of the United States is this guy Cooper, Brad Cooper, who's a very polished, white-hatted, distinguished admiral who's going to explain, well, he explained all about how the United States feels very comfortable where it's at right now in the region, and that Russia is not presenting any kind of a big threat in the Eastern Mediterranean, which is where he worries about now. He's a water guy. So when the Navy's running the show, it can get weird, you know? It's just the way it is. And I'm not saying that guy's weird. But although, you know, he is in charge and he goes to all the schools, so he understands U.S. foreign policy and the whole senior big brain, how we're supposed to defend strategically. You know, I can talk this talk. And he appears to be very distinguished in that regard, you know. But to understand where we're set up strategically right now, Um, in this summary, you'll hear the Prime Minister of Israel talk about the Abraham Accord and the countries that he's interested in expanding into. It started out with the UAE and Bahrain and a couple of players, and the Saudis were interested. Now, back in the day, Ahmadinejad from Iran told his guys, hey, you need to hook up with this. Then Trump lost, that all went away, and we're mad at, everybody always seems to be mad at Iran as a thing, even though Obama shipped a plane load of money over there. So please understand, this is all what it is. It's Illuminati ping-ponging back and forth. But this Israeli prime minister wishes to befriend, to expand the Abraham Accord now. The key countries are Jordan. Naturally, that's one Ark of the Covenant toss away across the Jordan River. They're buddies long time back. You go back to Baal and Nabal and whoever's doing what. That's old time. That's my next door neighbor, Jordan. The other ones that they're interested in helping and hooking up with, way, shape, and form, is Egypt. CC. Oh, and this man who's going to, you'll only see the summary of this, and I'll put the link to the entire news program as a link to my video. So let's get on with this and play the summary stuff.
Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel calls on reasonable-minded countries in the region to join in the fight against extreme Islam amid increased aggression by Iranian-backed terror groups. U.S. Naval Forces Central Command Vice Admiral Brad Cooper refers to the Abraham Accords as a significant foundation to enable regional cooperation to confront the Islamic Republic of Iran. China and Iran.
So Iran's being pictured as the enemy.
Cooperation plan in multiple areas of interest.
Now here's China coming at it. Okay, that was a real high-level summary. So I'm gonna hold it off there, and just for the sake of brevity, I'm going to play the. I'll put the link to the whole news report. If you want to hear it, you need to hear it. But I just told you what's important. Israel's looking to posture through the Abraham Accord. Understand, Trump got this going. Jared Kushner's kind of in the middle of it. He was back over there with Ivanka recently. He runs FEMA. Kushner is looking to partner up with his new company to run all over Africa and everything else with RFID. This premier of Israel is talking about partnership with these other countries in technology areas. For some reason, Israel wants to partner with these Egypt and Jordan in these technology areas to do better. Read that in how you will. Mahmoud al-Sisi is a lit wild card in this scenario. Nobody's going to talk about him, but the Prime Minister made a special effort to talk about Egypt and how they are underappreciating Egypt and just need to do more for that country. I wonder why. They took the Ever Given when it was sailing out with all the crazy stuff on it. And that man al-Sisi, that 30-year-old kid, said, hey, we're playing. So this prime minister is indirectly speaking to and from and about him. But the Abraham Accord is tied to the Third Temple, and the money that comes with it, that these guys are all happy to postulate about, is going to be used to oppress the people in Gaza. Because as you get closer to the middle of who's really running the show in Zion, it's the show-stopping, Mossad, building-dropping Temple of Zion. That's at the middle of the play. So I'm going to find a way to pause this. And I may have made all the points that I wished to make. I'll show you guys real quick, since I said I was going to do it earlier. So this is the way the United States government, through the generals, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said, hey, let's carve it up this way. And here's how we'll plan. And of significance, this traditional army show is now being, this is water over here, all the white. All of a sudden this guy's talking about the Mediterranean and projecting power. Let me close by saying, we have here's the way this is panning out. We've got a posturing for a world peace where Marco Polo from China is digging their way forward and befriending who they need to get pipelines and throughput to silk trail it so China can push its stuff this way because it just wants to do it. It wants the roads to make it happen. So as a result of doing that, China's partnering up with Iran. Way the hell back in here because they're on the way. They're on the way. With Afghanistan and Iran and all the bearded wonders, they're making friends coming through on their way to Europe. So there's this appearance of, it's business as usual. Let's watch development of the world happen when, whoa, all hell's about to break loose. So if you want to call this a world peace, go ahead. From a perspective of posturing, like where are all the bombs going off right now? We left Afghanistan. The only conflict that was described was the things that are going on roughly over here in the UAE with the Druze and that kind of stuff. And, the limited kind of things that you hear going on in Syria. Let's get serious. That's up here, and that's the gateway over to Iran. But there's appeasement that's here right now. It's like check, they're talking about the Iranian problem. These guys all work together. It's a block. It is a block of bludgeoning from Abraham. Look at this. Just look at this thing. Okay, this is what this thing's titled. Abraham Command Relocating Israel to CENTCOM's, and this is from whoever the hell Jinsa is. I thought it was the United States. Abraham Command got relocated. So listen up, people. This is what we're talking about. I find it funny. It's going to continue to come at the same pace as the wake up on the vaccine. It appears as though there's peace. Wizard of Oz, fa la 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 la. They'll float us on the air over to the third temple, and you'll watch that thing like you watched McCain's funeral or the OJ trial or some event on TV that Johnny Hamster Sandwich Eater will say, gee, wasn't that weird the way that smoke went? I don't know what's going to happen. I probably won't watch it. I probably won't. And only because to pay attention to it is disgusting because of what it represents. So I probably won't watch it. I'll view it in the Akashic Records later, unless I accidentally happen to see it. But as an intel guy, I want to keep up with what's going on in the world right now. The whole Gog, Magog, GWAT, global war on terror. You are the enemy combatant. You drove through the IEDs. Either side got bludgeoned by the same crowd that I'm talking about. They're at the top. They're generals. They got cannons, and they just bring shit on your head. And then the smart ones retreat to New Schreibenland and work at the CSIS and JINSA. They're just big head think tanks. They get paid to commiserate at clubs, I guess, with towels. I don't know. I just know that we're in a good ascension window, and cosmic energy's coming on 31st. So between now and then, let's be entertained. Let's not watch the news, but listen to me, because I can pierce through that veil and sensitize you to what's really going on out there, because I have sentience and feelings. So I want to sensitize your feelings to who you really are. With that said, let me bow out chest high, colorlessly. Whoop!